to the floor of my office. Things look a little bit different. As you can probably see, I got some storage. I wasn't planning on filming a yarn stash video, but it just so happened that yesterday I went to Ikea and I built this lovely shelf thing that you guys can see in the background. I also did move most of my yarn from downstairs to upstairs and stored it in these lovely containers. At the time when I bought the shelf, I only had 3 of the plastic bins, but it wasn't enough for all my yarn. So I've since gone to Ikea and I've purchased a couple more bins, and we're gonna properly organize all of my yarn that's behind here, as well as my notions, because I want everything to be all in the same place and organized, and so I know what I have. This will kind of be a sit-downy, vloggy mix of a video. I hope it's not too bad. When I did film yesterday's video, which I'm not gonna be posting because it was chaotic, and honestly, when I was watching back the footage, it was giving me a headache. So I'm not going to do that to you guys, but I thought I would kind of start over because I don't love the way that it was organized because I didn't have enough stuff or bins to store them in. So we're gonna take everything out and start over again. Before I get in and take everything off the shelf, I'll give you a little bit of a background in terms of what it is and what's on it currently. So this here is the Ikea open wardrobe. It's a bamboo one. I think the name of it is the Norkesa. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong. But it is an open wardrobe that is supposed to have a sliding door on this side here. The reason why I don't have it on it is because it's actually supposed to be built like the opposite way. This rack section is supposed to be on the left side. I really wanted it on the right because I felt like it would balance my room a little bit better. Otherwise, I felt like the wall was going to be very like middle heavy. And so in order to get this bit on the side that I wanted it, I had to flip this bottom base over. This bottom base actually only has a track system on one side of it. And so when I flipped it, it was on the wrong side. Not the end of the world. Obviously, I wish I could keep the sliding door on it. I think I might hack it eventually into like an open closed door, but that's a problem for a different day. For now, I think it looks fine. Up here, I have a little zodiac cross stitch that my sister made me. I think it's so cute and adorable. And fun fact about this one, the little horse down here, that bottom leg isn't attached. I think that's a mistake on her part, but super cute. It was for the longest time in the basement, and she kept like calling me out every time she came over and saw it down there. And so it's officially up here now. It has a home. Beside that, I just have a couple jars, 2 of which are holding my scrap yarn. That one's like true scraps, and this one's like small amount of like wound balls that I feel like I could probably do something with them. And so they've been separated. Some Napa pellets because she hangs out in here every once in a while and gets hungry, and so I have to feed them. And then I have this kind of frankly sad looking rubber plant. I don't know what happened. She's losing a lot of her leaves. I think I shocked her system because I was away for a long time and then probably watered it too much. It's still growing a leaf though, so it's not totally unhappy. I don't think. Scrolling down here is a couple of my knits, a project bag with my Mauricia cardigan, and then this is the bulk of what I want to deal with today. So I think the plan for today is to take all of this bottom half off of the shelf, dump out all of my yarn, and organize it accordingly. I'm also going to use this section underneath here to store some stuff because surprisingly, these Ikea bins that I bought, which are the short ones, fit perfectly under. So we're going to do that. This is a weird angle, probably, but we're gonna go with it because I'm trying to give you like an overview of what I have. Most of this yarn has already been organized because I was putting it away yesterday, but I'm just going to organize it a little differently today. Here is an overview of pretty basically everything that we're working with. We have a lot of hand dyed, a lot of knitting for Olive, a couple balls of double Sunday. We'll go through it all, but this is basically most of my stash, with the exception of a bin here with my scrap yarns, like my big ball of scrap yarns that I need to organize as well. My best bet is probably to just put everything away and then talk as I go. Maybe put everything away and then talk about everything in it after. I'm not sure. We're just gonna go with it and try to figure it out. First things first though is I'm gonna take all these stickers off. Most of it. There's still a couple stragglers that I need to figure out, but I'll walk you through the bulk of the stash so far. I have it mostly organized into bins here, with one big one back here, and so we'll just go through them. Bin number 1 is my big ball scrap bin. Basically what's in here is some big balls of the wool and the Petite wool from We Are Knitters. The 2 Petite wool balls, the 1 Petite wool ball is from my fab cardigan that I did back in the winter, and I'd have a skein of this in the hand painted sprinkle. I have a matching hand painted sprinkle and natural in the wool that I made my fab beanie in. I'm thinking about maybe donating it. I could make dryer balls with the natural one, but I'm not entirely sure. I have quite a bit of this left, so I'm just gonna keep this here. I also have in that box behind me 2 full skeins of the Petite wool and 1 full skein of the wool. So I bought way too much for those projects there, but I also have some like relatively big amounts of fingering weight yarn, 3 of which here may be familiar. This one was from Mauve Summer Top in the color Acorn. This is Sandnes Garn Sunday. I also have Sandnes Garn Sunday in Almond. That was for my Friday tee, and this one here is, I think this is Marzipan. I have the label inside, but I'm not going to take it out right now. That I can use for my Merion cardigan. Still not done with that, so that's just here. I have 2 leftover small cakes from the Alpaca yarn that I got on our May long weekend. I have quite a bit of this, so my plan is to do mittens for Ryan at some point to match his Musselburgh hat. Love, love, love this yarn. So squishy, so soft. I wish I could get more, but it was pretty expensive, so I'm gonna hold on to this and do something with that. And then the last 2 are some sock yarns that I have. One of this is, I think this is Opal sock yarn, and this is some Misc sock yarn from a hand dyer that my sister gave me. I plan on using these 2 in some sort of scrappy blanket, and I just have some leftover, what is this called? Sandnes Garn Silk Mohair in the colorway 1015 that goes with the Marzipan from Knitting for Olive for my Merion cardigan. I made a baby bonnet not too long ago using this because I definitely had extra. I still have some, and you'll see later further on in the stash. But that baby bonnet surprisingly didn't take up so much yarn, so I still have a lot of this even in a leftover format. That has been number 1. Still got plenty of room to grow if I have more scrap yarn. Bin number 2 is filled with primarily Sandnes Garn. I have 10 balls of this Sandnes Garn Double Sunday in the colorway 8051. It's this really pretty like sage green, And the plans for this is to make some sort of cabled sweater. The one that I'm thinking about right now is the Arctic's Light sweater by Veronica Lieberg, I think is her name. It looks like a traditional like cabled knit sweater. My only concerns with that one is that there's no short row shaping. And so the front and the back are the same height, and it concerns me a little bit. I also am not 100% sure that I have enough yarn. And I don't really want to make a cropped one, so we'll see in terms of if that goes through, but that was the plans for that one. In here too is 2 balls of what I believe is mislabeled double Sunday. So the label says Sunday, but if I compare this to the double Sunday as well as one that for sure like feels like Sunday, you can see that this pink one, something's off, right? It like looks like double Sunday, which is a little sad because at the time I bought it with the impression that it was Sunday, and it was supposed to be the accent color in my Friday tee. Because once I got it, it felt so off, I ended up pivoting and going to my local yarn store and getting this moss green one instead. In retrospect, it was like a blessing in disguise because I loved the way that this green goes with the almond color that I used as my main color. But now I don't know what to do with this because I only have 2 skeins of it, and I didn't have plans for it outside of that. I could maybe make a hat. I don't know. Nevertheless, it's part of my stash. I do have it there. This green that I was holding up as an example of the Sunday is, like I said, the dusty moss green color. I think the number is 9071 in Sandnes Garn Sunday. This was the striped color in my Friday tee, so you guys have seen this before. Other things in this box is 5 skeins of, oh, this one doesn't have a label, of Sandnes Garn Pure Gynt. In this dark green color, numbers is 8082. Plans for this one originally was to make a hat for my husband Ryan. If you guys have been following my channel long enough, you would know that I started a hat. I ended up having to frog it because my mom told me that green hats in Asian cultures, when you make them as gifts for significant others, means that you cheated on them or something like that. And so I ended up frogging that, made him the muscle burrow and the baby alpaca instead. This is destined to be made into a green vest for my nephew. I think I have 5 skeins of it, so I think I should have enough. I probably should get that started sooner rather than later because he is growing like a weed, and if I wait too long, I won't have enough yarn. The last thing in this bin is these brown skeins of Wool of the Andes worsted weight in Mink Heather. This is Knit Picks yarn, and this is one of the earliest wool yarns that I picked up. I picked up 5 skeins of it originally, as well as 5 skeins of the same type of yarn in Crane Heather, and I used the Crane Heather ones to knit that Knit Dickie, one of my first projects, and I used 2 of the 5 to make Ryan wool mitts. But I have 3 left over. Don't know what I plan on doing with this. I could make a hat, but I find Wool of the Andes a little itchy, especially on my like forehead area. So probably not that. Don't have enough to make a sweater. I don't know. I might sell those 3 because I just don't really have any big plans for that. But that's everything in bin number 2. Bin number 3 is just one kind of yarn. This is Drop's Wish in the color Mauve. I originally had 10 skeins of it. This one I didn't appreciate it at the time in terms of how soft it was, but after working with the baby alpaca, I'm like really appreciating the baby alpaca in here. This is 50% baby alpaca, 33% cotton, and 17% wool. I was originally making, I don't remember the name of this sweater anymore, but it was like a simple stockinette raglan sweater by Veronica Lindberg, probably still saying that wrong, and I started it. As you can see, I got most of the yoke done. However, I stopped working on this project because I then got really interested in the fab cardigan, which I knit up a little bit earlier this year, and so put this one on hold. At the time when I was making it, I was really liking how it was coming along. It's a pretty bulky weight yarn, so it came up really quickly. and it has this really beautiful twisted rib collar that you're supposed to fold down at the end. The only thing that concerns me now that I know a little bit more is that there's no short row shaping. Similar to the Arctic Light sweater by the same designer. I don't really know why it wasn't incorporated at the time because I think it's just such a standard practice. But nevertheless, I think I might add short row shaping as like a crescent after I finish the yoke because I don't really want to frog it, but I'm not too sure yet. I don't really know what the fate of this is. It feels like a shame to rip it out because I've come so far and it is a beautiful texture and material, but also we'll see. We will see. That primarily takes up this bin. 2 more small bins and then 1 big bin. This one is my purple bin. It has a lot of purple yarn in here. I have 3 hanks of Malabrigos Ultimate Sock in the color Pearl. And the plans for this one is to make the Luna Tea by Christina something. I don't remember her last name. Now that summer's coming to an end and I've been doing a lot of fingering weight, I'm probably gonna put this on hold till next year, even though I think it would be a beautiful fall shirt. But I really like the way that this color looks. It's like a very pale, like gray purple, right up my alley. This is my favorite color probably. In here too is 8 hanks of Alpaca Heather by Manos de Uruguay. I don't know how to pronounce half these things. This is 70% wool, 30% alpaca hand-dyed yarn. I wanted to make a sweater with this. What sweater did I want to make? Oh, the Petite knit Monday sweater, I believe. I think is what it was. Just the plain stockinette one. I'm kind of excited to work with this because it's hand-dyed yarn and I've never worked at like a sweater quantity of it. I usually make like socks or something small. So I'll have to figure out a way of blending the color so I don't get color pooling, which I think will be an exciting experience. But yeah, I have so many like other plans that I don't know when I'll cast that on, but maybe someday. The last small bin is probably my favorite one. And this is all my Knitting for Olive / hand-dyed sock yarn. So on the top here, I'm holding 2 of my silk mohair from Sandnes Garn. These are the same colors that I had in that scrap bin for my Merion cardigan. I definitely have way too much. I did not need to buy that many, but it is what it is. To go with the silk mohair is the 2 balls of Knitting for Olive Merino in Marzipan. Again, for the Merion cardigan, won't get into too much of this. Additionally in here, I have 2 of the Knitting for Olive cotton merinos in the color Oatmeal. These ones are just 2 backup ones for my camisole number 9 right now. Probably also going to have excess amounts of this, but not complaining. Love Knitting for Olive. And then lastly in here is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. This is in the color Powder. I want to make a V-neck not a camisole, a V-neck t-shirt with this. I think it's by Ozetta. I don't remember the name of the pattern, but it's this really beautiful like crossed V-neck look. And I have 4 balls of this one for that eventually. I've heard a lot of things about the pure silk. I've heard that it knits up into a beautiful fabric, but it's kind of difficult to work with. And looking at it in comparison to like the cotton merino, I can see it being really splitty, but I'll keep you guys posted in terms of how I see that going. Last 2 Knitting for Olive products in here is another cotton merino in Dusty Artichoke, as well as the soft seal mohair in the matching color. I wanted to make a baby bear bonnet in this at some point, but now that I know that the green thing's happening, I'll probably have to pivot, which is such a shame because this is such a cute color. Maybe I'll make a shirt in this now or a sweater, because this Dusty Artichoke is so pretty. I also really like artichokes, just fun facts. So channel that. I think my sister would really like this color too. Mint green is her favorite color. And then quickly, the last things in here are the things that bring me the most joy are my 4 skeins of Seattle / Alaskan yarn. I won't go into too much detail about these 2, but 2 of which are from Hedgehog Fibers. One's in the color Serengeti, which is this really pretty green, pink, cream one. And this other one here is Heron, which is like similar to the pearl one, but like a dusty gray purple with like flecks of colors. Love, love, love that. Can't wait to make socks with this or some sort of fun shawl. And the other two is this yellow, purpley blue yarn. This is what I learned eventually, not sock yarn, so I have to figure out something else to do with this because I don't want to ruin it. But this is from Aurora Yarns of Alaska. And then I have Pearl of the Wisdoms. I think this is from A Gentle Whispers, which is a hand-dyed Ketchikan Alaskan yarn in, what's this color? Silvery Moon, which is this really pretty tonal blue color. This one is my favorite bin because these are all my favorite yarns. But yeah, I have favorites. I'm not even gonna pretend that I don't because I definitely do. And then the last bin here is the big bin holding all of the big stuff. So like I mentioned earlier, these are two full balls of the Petite wool, hand painted sprinkles and natural, left over from my fab cardigan. I have a full ball of the wool, hand painted sprinkles. Don't know what I'm gonna do with that. And then the last 4 skeins in here are the fisherman wool that I picked up when I was in the States. I have plans to make a step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller, who is also known as Handmade by Florence here on YouTube. And I was inspired to make specifically a light and dark brown alternating striped one based off a knitter with the username Sarah Does Knit on Ravelry. And she used these exact colorways. I'm basically going to recreate that sweater that she made because it was so cute. It had primarily this like light oatmeal colored yarn, which is called Oatmeal, surprisingly, as her like main color. And then, like I said, she had like this light and dark brown as alternating stripes. So one of them is called Brown Heather, and I think the other one's called Nature's Brown. And these are really fun yarns. They're really rustic. Smells like lanolin. It smells like sheep. It makes me so happy. And so that's what's left in there. The only other things that I have like scattered around that's like yarn is 2 balls of sock yarn. Well, technically 4 because I split them. But 2 balls of sock yarn for my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. I don't really know where to put this. This one's kind of like a work in progress. I might shove them in with the fisherman wool and petite wool because it has room. But I think that's it for the yarn. We'll put these on the shelves and then we'll work on the notions. Actually, before I put them up, I'm gonna put a bag of lavender and some cedar balls into each bin, just for precaution, you know? Hopefully. The last bit is these 2 sections here, which I'm hoping to do notions. I bought these 2 risotort baskets that fit like perfectly into that spot. And so I'm gonna do this. So I think we're done. As a quick overview, here is the bin of all the big yarns. On top I have my ball winder as well as my Swift in the background. And here at the bottom one, I opted to do a pencil case of just miscellaneous notions, including some extra barber cords, some elastics for collars, a knitting thimble, I think is what it's called, some buttons, some excess needles, as well as my measuring tape, and a foldable pair of scissors. In this one, I also have my D-pillar and my crochet hooks, as well as my Misc binder of needles. This one in here has my metal set, both lace as well as just normal size, as well as some just Misc needles that I picked up along the way. This top bin is my primary bin of notions. So I have a notebook, my C-knit needles that I adore, as well as a mini scale that is so cute, highly unnecessary, but love it. As well as this pill case full of just excess stitch markers that I have. And right now I'm gonna also add in my socks into here because I will probably carry this basket around the house as my project basket. That's it for my yarn organization. I like that everything fits here, and I want to make sure that I don't buy too much more so that I won't be able to fit more, but I'm so happy with how this is organized. I'm sure it will change as like I use it, but right now I feel really like clear in my head in terms of what I have and what I want to use and have plans for. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Thank you so much for sitting through all of the yarn that I have, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now. I mean, you can tell I have like a color preference.